All right, so we're going to go ahead and start questioning. Suzanne's going to ask you the questions tonight.
Thank you, Toey. Please describe a recent project you collaborated on, how you facilitated that collaboration, and what you learned from your partners that you'll improve on in the future.
Well, it's kind of not the last project. It's kind of my continuing project is the Justice Project, which has been a very, very large collaborative process that dealt with a lot of public out in the public. We really sought a lot of public input to the needs assessment that we put together. When I first started on the Justice Project, it was 5 years ago, believe it or not, and we did the listening tour. So that was the kind of the kickoff to the whole idea of the Justice Project, because we wanted to get as much information from the public, how they felt about criminal justice and criminal justice reform as we could. So we went to the 7 locations throughout the county. When I put the group together, the group being the Stakeholder Advisory Committee that spent a year studying our criminal justice system, it was with 20 community members and then 18 of your regular like staff and some elected officials. But we were able to have a very successful needs assessment that reflected what the public really felt about behavioral health and all the other issues in the criminal justice system that make it a holistic system. It's not just a jail. It's a system that has to work together. So we did town hall just a week ago. We did focus groups with unrepresented populations like BIPOC. We did immigrant community. We've had great success with focus groups out at the tribes. And we also reached out to lived experience folks, which were formerly incarcerated people and their families, to get their perspective as well on the criminal justice system. So sorry for the long answer, but it was a very multi-year project that I'm very proud of being able to lead that, and I'm hoping for great results on the other end.
Thank you. Next question is, if elected to this position, how will you involve residents in your decision-making process?
Well, I think we need to do more of what I just did for this issue. I think there needs to be more public input on more things that the county does. For instance, the thought of demolishing the building out at Northwest and Smith, that kind of historic building out there to build some sort of an office complex for the county just hasn't been thought through. And there's been a lot of people from the public that have come forward with ideas that they would like to see go there, like a veterans center. And I've been talking to some people about how we might do that. So I think when we start talking about large projects, especially like that, we need to involve the public. We need to reach out and find out what other things that might be valuable to the community, rather than just assuming that some sort of an expansion of county services or county office space is where we want to go. So I would kind of form the same kind of process as I did for the Justice Project. I believe in stakeholder groups. I really think that that's an effective way to really get an imprint of your community into your project.
Thank you. What do you think is the biggest challenge facing Whatcom County, and how do you plan to address it?
Well, the water right now is a big issue. It's something that's going to affect us for the rest of our lives and our generations to come, is how we deal with water issues. And I really think that we need to follow the adjudication route. That is the route that is the official how you determine water rights in a water basin. It's done through an adjudication process, and it's lengthy. Yakima took 40 years to get through their process. In fact, we're going to be hearing from them soon about their process and how they navigated through it. So I think that that water is a huge one. I think also the criminal justice reform, which I've just talked at length about, is a very big problem. We have to work with the homeless community. We have to, like I said earlier, we have to have a holistic look at our societal problems, and homelessness, poverty, mental health, physical health, age, disabilities. There's so many things that we need to look at when we're putting together the things that we do. And thanks to Council Member Galloway, we have a resolution that when we go to look at the comp plan, we're going to be looking at it through all those kind of equity lenses: economic equity, racial equity, all the things that are important to our community. We just formed a racial equity commission that I was part of that formation as well. And I think, I think the county is getting more forward looking. I have a lot of hope that we'll be able to accomplish things through that.
Thank you. What leadership experience prepared you to be the best candidate for this position?
So that, I'm really glad you asked that. I've been in leadership positions in all my career. I was a U.S. Navy veteran. I had leadership experience there. I went to work for Lockheed when I got out of the Navy, and I became a lead engineer. And I worked with a lot of programs with the space shuttle, like the Hubble telescope. I worked on the testing of a lot of the modules on the original Hubble telescope. When we moved home back to Bellingham. I'm a 4th generation Whatcom County native, and Judy and I moved back home with the kids when my father-in-law was ill and had stage 4 cancer. So I went to work for Heath Techna Aerospace. It was a new company in the early 90s, and I was a supervisor there for about 5 years. I co-founded the alumni band with my wife, and I was the head drum major of that. That was a fun project that lasted about 14 years. We marched in the Ski to Sea parade, and really proud of that accomplishment. I've been elected 5 times to be the chair of the Whatcom County Council from my peers, all bipartisan support. 4 of those were completely unanimous. Let's see, I was the chair of the Whatcom County Democrats for 6 years. At the same time I did that, I was also president of the Leonard Streets Neighborhood Association for 4 years. And I was president of the Bellingham City Council when I served from 2008 to 2011.
Thank you. As Whatcom County Executive, how can you support staff in pursuing new and innovative strategies to accelerate progress toward our community goals?
I think a lot more cross-departmental communication and work, where you have work teams that contain, somebody from, for example, public works, planning, and parks, for instance. They could collaborate. I think they could collaborate closer on projects than kind of in the siloed way they do now. I think if you could teach that culture to your workforce, how you can benefit from that kind of a strategy, it would really help advance our goals, because you wouldn't have this kind of a serial one department at a time looking at a project that slows things down, and they don't get each other's perspective as well as they could, I think, if they were led to have that more cross-departmental approach.
Thank you. That is all the prepared questions we have. Do you have any questions for us?
Just what's your timeline and your process? You take this to your full membership?
Beth, you want to answer it?
Okay. Oh, I did it. Sorry. I struggle with the unmuting. Yes, I can answer this. So the endorsement committee is going to develop recommendations and present recommendations on endorsement decisions to the board by the 19th of June. And then it's a board vote to actually make the endorsement decision. And so I don't know what that time would be, but I would, Suzanne, is it a week that I'm giving like a reasonable timeline to think about?
Yes, thank you. That
Okay.
feels very reasonable.
So, within, say, a week after that, so sometime, the end of June, and the board will vote, and then we'll call you at the phone number that you provided to us and let you know what the decision is, and before we make it public.
Okay, well, that sounds great. Thanks all for everything you guys do. I really appreciate it.
Barry, you do have some extra time. Is there anything that you didn't either talk about on your written or that we didn't ask about in oral that you really want to tell us about, or something that maybe you feel like we should know about that we didn't ask?
No, I don't think so, other than I'm going to be wishing my wife a happy 50th wedding anniversary next week. So I'm super proud of that. But my family is my greatest accomplishment in life is my family. And I am so pleased that we were able to make this journey together. So I get a little emotional, sorry.
Oh, well, congratulations. I'm actually about to go celebrate my in-laws 50th too. So
Oh, that's awesome. That's
it's
awesome.
so fun. Well, thank you for your time tonight, and we will be in touch, and thank you again for running.
Thanks, Barry.
Absolutely. Y'all have a great night.
You too.
Bye.